story about Emperor Akbar. He ruled India in the mid-1500s. Now, Emperor Akbar, he became an emperor at the age of 13. Very, very young. Which meant he did not get to finish his schooling. Now, Emperor Akbar was loved by everyone. He was a brilliant emperor. He encouraged people to do art and literature and poetry. He loved those things. He was brilliant with finances, and so he built a lot of schools in India during his reign and better health care and just did wonderful things for them. One reason that Emperor Akbar was so good, he knew that he did not have a lot of formal schooling, and so he needed some help. So he gathered around him a group of 9 men who were considered to be the most brilliant men in all the world. And they were brilliant in different areas. And so when Emperor Akbar was faced with a problem, he would call these 9 men together, and together they would put their ideas together and come up with brilliant solutions. Now there's one man in this group. He had kind of an unusual name. His name was Birbal. Okay, it's kind of a funny name, isn't it? Birbal. But Birbal, he was kind of different from the other 8 men on the council. Birbal grew up very, very poor. Birbal also did not have a lot of schooling, but Birbal had a wonderful sense of humor, and he was brilliant. He could solve problems that no one else could solve. I mean, he solved hundreds of problems, but no one else could. Now, on this particular day, Emperor Akbar decided that he kind of wanted to test out his 9 men on the council. He had them follow him outside, and so they went out and he had them stand around a well. Now, this well was very, very deep, very deep. And it had been dry for many years. There was no water in the well. And the well was also getting quite dangerous. Does that help? Okay. The well was also getting quite dangerous, so you couldn't go into it because it might collapse. Emperor Akbar wanted to see how creative were his men. He took off his gold ring and threw it in the well. And tumbled down, and thud. You could hear it hit the bottom of the well. There was no water, just dry dirt down on the bottom. Emperor Akbar now looked at all of his men and he said, "Who can retrieve my ring?" Well, they all wanted to because they knew whoever could retrieve that ring would win great favor from Emperor Akbar. But he told them, he said, "Now remember, you cannot go inside that well. It is very dangerous. It could collapse on you. You also cannot send any kind of an animal down the well because it could collapse on the animal and we'll never be cruel to animals." So that was their challenge. How are they going to get that ring out of there? Well, one of the men, he decided, he took a magnet and tied a string to it and he lowered it down there, and after he got it down there he realized the ring is solid gold. The magnet will not attract to it. Another one of the men, he was a brilliant archer. So he tied a long string onto the end of an arrow. And he took his bow and arrow and he shot it down there. His idea was that the arrow would go through the ring and then he would pull it back up. And he tried arrows of all different sizes. The arrows that were too big would not go through the ring. The arrows that were too small would go through the ring. But he couldn't pull it up then. Another one of them decided, well, I'll just put a fishing hook on the end of a rope. And he lowered that down there. But he couldn't get under the ring to pull it up. Oh, they tried one solution after another. They kept trying and trying. Could not get that ring out of the well. Well, it's noon in India. The sun is directly above them. And in India at noon, trust me, it is very, very hot. You do not want to be standing in the noon sun of India. And so finally, the men of the council, they said, "Emperor Akbar, we are so sorry. We cannot get your ring back. It will stay at the bottom of the well." Birbal kind of laughed. He said, "I can get it out of there." He said, "I'll have it for you tomorrow at noon." Well, The other 8 men, they're a little angry because once again, here was Birbal solving a problem that they couldn't. Birbal smiled and turned and walked away. Walked out of the town, walked out through the country, walked through some pastures where men were raising their cows and watching their cows. Oh gosh, we're out of time. I can't tell you the end of the story.
What?
I know what that means. Here's the deal. Now you're going to have to try and figure out, how did Birbal get that ring out of there? I gave you a big clue right at the end when I said he walked out of town and went out to the country. I will tell you the end of the story tonight at the literacy night.